Hi guys, it's your boy Shinobi Sage here with a review for My Hero Academia Season 6 Episode 23. Let's get it. Guys, My Hero Academia brings the heat again with this episode. This arc just doesn't miss. The episode picks up with Class 1A confronting DEKU, trying to convince him to come back to UA. DEKU's whole objective pretty much throughout this episode was to just escape and not hurt any of his friends. He uses smokescreen as a cover to try to fly over everyone's heads, literally. One thing I liked about this episode is that the whole class, in trying to convince DEKU to come back to UA, basically reminds him of all of the moments they had together, mixed with some flashbacks in between. Fam, everybody had the chance to speak their feelings to DEKU. Everybody got involved. Even the students I forgot existed, like Birdman and that Sugar Rush guy. This was a very sentimental episode because, especially with the music playing and DEKU resisting his classmates. One thing I will say is that Class 1A was so organized during this episode. When DEKU used Black Whip, Zero countered it, and then DEKU got pushed into that building by Tokoyami's Black Shadow into Momo's hypnosis device. Like, that shit was so sick. It was also good to see how strong DEKU really is against his classmates, because during the course of the series, when he was learning how to control One for All and he gradually got better at it, he was nowhere near as strong as, say, Todoroki, Bakugo, or even Tokoyami at the time. But in this episode, this guy was covered by Dark Shadow Ragnarok and electrocuted by Kaminari at the same time, and he just ate that shit. Not to mention, he was able to break free from Todoroki's ice wall, and all of that was just using base 45% One for All without the use of his other quirks. Man, imagine if MHA was a seinen instead of a shonen, all of them would have been dead within minutes. The main conflict that Deku's facing is his need to go up against All for One alone. This is very similar to what All Might went through when he was in his prime. When he started out as a pro hero, he had already mastered One for All at 100%, and he was able to single-handedly cut down nearly all of the crime in Japan by himself. But because he was a bearer of One for All, he eventually had to face All for One. He defeated him but was injured in the process, and even Sir Night-Eye was advising him to retire, but he was so concerned about upholding the symbol of peace image. That's the same burden shared by DEKU, but the circumstances are much worse this time out. All for One is back and he has a successor. There was a huge war which severely affected hero relations with the civilians, and on top of that, there are villains running around from Tartarus prison. But the difference between DEKU and All Might, in my opinion, is DEKU's friends. They've been through thick and thin together. They now all know his secret, and these students are quite capable in their own right. You know, we've seen it throughout each of the seasons. And even though it's understandable from Deku's perspective, he doesn't have to fight alone. All Might did a lot of good for Hero Society. He pretty much worked by himself, other than Sir Night-Eye and Gran Torino, who supported him, and that left a lot of cracks in Hero Society. If he would have worked with the other heroes, maybe he wouldn't have been injured and he still could have used One for All without the time limit. If he would have worked with others, maybe Shigaraki wouldn't have been found and manipulated by All for One to become the symbol of evil. Maybe not that many heroes would have been injured or killed during the war arc. You know, it's just some food for thought. DEKU then lunges himself away using Farjin and Black Whip, and then Mina, Uraraka, Todoroki and Tokoyami propel Bakugo and Leader towards Midoriya. And fam, let me just say, the animation was ridiculous on that one. Like, the studio went all out of that scene, bro. I liked how Leader was going so fast. Parts of his suit were starting to tear off and his glasses broke. Like, that looks so clean. Leader grabs his hand and repeats the same words Deku said to him back in season 2, and he finally gives up from fatigue. Kirishima then arrives, and to me that was so funny because it's like, bro, you were late to the party. Then finally we get our boy Bakugo, who approaches Deku to tell him something, and he finally apologizes to Deku formally. And this was such a beautifully done scene. I liked how when Bakugo was confessing, they showed them as kids and it transitioned to where they are now. And who would have ever thought Bakugo would ever say sorry, especially to Deku? But it's a testament to his character writing, being a person who had so much pride in his abilities, who eventually got humbled throughout the series. To be honest, Bakugo and Endeavor, in my opinion, are the best characters in the series. Those two are just built different. Deku is then brought back to UA, and we finally see 13's face. And I think this is the first time we've seen her face. And guys, they guarded UA High School like Tartarus prison. It is mad. And when Deku is brought back here, there's protests from all of the refugees inside. Guys, this was another good episode. of My Hero Academia, and it was good to see all of the characters work together to bring their friend Deku back to the school. And this was a very emotional episode, man, especially how they were reminding him of all of the events from the previous seasons. And man, let me just say, this arc, yeah, the Vigilante Deku arc, as some people like to call it, in my opinion, this arc is kind of better than the war arc, I'll be honest with you. Because when I look at the quality of animation, the characters we got, and just the tone of this arc, I'm enjoying this way more than I did the previous arc. It's like the studio put so much care into this one. We only got 2 episodes left before they wrap up the season, so let's see how they end it. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe, and until next week, stay blessed.